What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? NoZoupForYou here, and today we're going to talk about Anchors Aweigh. But first, need to get a couple of things out of the way. First and foremost, you're watching some awesome gameplay submitted by LordAdmiralNelson. He put together a phenomenal Georgia round. Probably one of the best I have seen as of late, if not ever. Truly a nail-biting round, and definitely worth being highlighted in a video. Second, I want to thank Simon. Shout out to you for pledging in my newly created Patreon. You are in the God tier, and I appreciate it. A lot of you have been asking if I have a Patreon. I do now, and Simon is one of the first to pledge to it. So once again, Simon, thank you. Now, the purpose of today's video, Anchors Aweigh. And, you know, I just want to put this out there first. No matter how much Wargaming, as of late, seems to aggravate me with certain decisions, no matter how much they can get on our nerves with releases and everything else, I've got to hand it to them. And I have to give them some mega kudos, because this is what it's about right here. Anchors Aweigh, these events are amazing. If you have not been to one of them yet, you need to get out to one. They pull out all the stops. And it really shows in these events how much they do care about the community. And obviously the dev team and the powers way above are completely different than the North America office. The North America office they're wonderful. I love them to death. They're just great people. They're down to earth. They're relatable. You can talk to them, and if you go to these events, you will. You know, they're easily approachable, and them being there and just interacting with them, it just shows you how much they care about the game and the community. I mean, you can't deny, and no one can say honestly, that Wargaming North America does not care about us as gamers. And if they tell you that, they're lying, because they do. North America, love them to death. Love femininely, just all of them. They're just great. And I know all of them at a personal level, and I really hope I can make it out to several of these events this year. And there's going to be a lot that depends on. But what I want to do right now is I want to walk you through what we've got coming up in the way of the tour, what the dates are, where they're going to be, and just some advice about these, because I've been to most of these ships, so I just want to give you a little lay of the land and tell you what to expect when you go to these particular events. So, with that being said, let's start off with the first of the year. March 28th and 29th, we've got the USS North Carolina. This is new. This was not a stop last year, and I'm actually very happy that this is now a stop. The ship itself is beautiful. The camouflage they put on it is beautiful. The ship's in pretty good shape. And Wilmington, you're going to find plenty of places you can stay at, hotel-wise, that aren't really going to cost you an arm and a leg. The place itself is right on the Eastern Shore. It's easy to get to from I-95. So if you're looking to travel and you live on the East Coast, you definitely got to hit up the USS North Carolina. And Wilmington's a pretty good city. Once again, this is not going to be a very expensive stop for you. April 18th, USS New Jersey. And this is kind of my home ship. I've been to this Iowa-class battleship numerous times, probably 3 or 4 at this point. Camden, New Jersey itself isn't that great. I would recommend not staying on that side if you are coming overnight. But the downside to that is that means you're going to have to stay in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia can be very expensive. Though you've got the USS Olympia over there, which is definitely worth a visit as well, I would make it a day trip and also throw in some awesome historical things like the Liberty Bell. So you can make a day trip of it completely, or a weekend. Highly recommend it, and taking the family with you. May 30th and 31st, we've got the USS Turner Joy in Bremerton, Washington. I can't give you much information about this because I've never been there. I've been to Washington, haven't been to this ship at all. I would suspect that it might be a little expensive because it's on the West Coast up in Washington, but then again, maybe it's not. I just don't know. June 20th, USS Intrepid in New York City. This I've been to before during a Let's Battle tour, which was a much, much bigger event. I can tell you that it's a blast. The ship is awesome. You've got some great historical aircraft on its deck. I can also tell you, and you probably know, being that it's New York City, it is going to be expensive. And you are going to have to deal with traffic, especially if you're driving in. So definitely allow extra time before and after the event because it might take you a little bit to get into the city, and it might take you a little bit to get out. You're going to always stay on the outskirts of New York City, but once again, you got to be prepared to drive in, and parking is going to be very expensive. So, your call right there. July 25th, we've got the USS Wisconsin, another ship that I kind of consider a home ship for me. USS Wisconsin's about 3 hours away from me, down in Norfolk, Virginia. My grandparents lived down there. My family's from the area. They're from Portsmouth, Virginia. Awesome area. Pretty cost effective as well. You can definitely find some places to stay down there. And the cool thing about that too is you can make it a weekend. You can go visit Norfolk Naval Base. And I do believe they're still giving tours to the public, but you do have to sign up in advance. And you can get on base and see some awesome stuff. Got giant aircraft carriers down there, the modern variety. You've got some awesome destroyers, submarines, everything else. And on top of that, you've got NAS Oceana down there as well. So if you just want to kick back and watch F-18s land, you can do that as well. So there's definitely a lot going on for the military lover down there. And it's one of the biggest ports in the world. So a lot going on in Norfolk, Virginia. Definitely worth a trip if you're on the East Coast in that area. I'm most likely 100% going to be at that one. I'm going to try and make the USS Intrepid up in New York City. Don't know for sure. New Jersey on April 18th is going to be hit and miss for me because we're having these twins right around March 1st. So I don't know if my wife's going to let me escape on April 18th. I really want to. I'm really going to try. But for sure, I'll be at the USS Wisconsin in July. August 22nd and 23rd, you've got the HMCS Haida. Whatever it is. I'm sorry, I probably butchered that. That's in Ontario. Don't know much about this, haven't been up there. Want to one day. Ontario is actually pretty cool, so is Toronto. Don't know how far it is from Hamilton, though. Once again, you'd probably have to ask someone that knows about that. September 19th, you've got USS Massachusetts. I've been there. I went there last year. Met a lot of you fine people there. USS Massachusetts is probably one of my favorite battleships at this point. Absolutely love it. Not in a horrible location either. You can find enough to do down in Fall River. You can also get some hotels at a fairly decent price. So I would put that on your list if you live in the area. Moving on to October 17th. We've got the USS Alabama in Mobile. Really can't tell you much about it. And this is one ship that I definitely want to visit at some point. But just haven't been able to make it down there. So perhaps one day. I would imagine Mobile, Alabama is probably pretty cheap. So for those of you that are down in that area, definitely make that stop. November 14th, USS Iowa. Been there, done that twice. Actually, that's the third Iowa-class battleship I've been on. I've knocked out 3 out of 4. Only have the USS Missouri left, and I really do want to hit that one day. Iowa's a great ship. Obviously, it's the lead class. It's a piece of history. If you're in that area, try and make it. But California is a huge state. I mean, it's not like USS North Carolina or Wisconsin or New Jersey, where if you live on the East Coast, you can definitely make it in a day trip. I mean, it's just a different reality, the ships that are located in California. They're a lot harder to make it out to. So I think that's going to be more of a local thing for those that actually live in California, and you're not going to find too many people from out of state going to those events like you would find at events like the North Carolina or Wisconsin or Intrepid. So I'm sure those of you going to the Iowa probably have been on it before, and you're more or less going to hang out with Wargaming, which I commend and I think is totally awesome as well. USS Lexington in Corpus Christi, Texas. I've been there, done that as well. Great ship, beautiful aircraft carrier. They've got some cool things on there as well. This is December 5th, so the weather should be pretty nice there. Might be even a tad chilly, maybe not, but once again, good location. Definitely some pretty affordable hotels that you're going to be able to find in that area. So, again, I think this is going to be kind of like the USS Iowa. It's going to be mostly for those that live in Texas. Texas is another very, very large state, and I don't anticipate a lot of out-of-staters making it to the USS Lexington. But those of you that are in Texas, take the trip and go see it. It's a great ship in great shape. Highly worth the trip. Moving on. We're now in January of 2021. January 30th and 31st, HMAS Vampire. Sydney, Australia. This is not North America. How they sneak that in there? I know how they snuck that in there. That's probably Femininely's doing. She probably wants to go home, and I commend her for that because she is from Australia, and this gives her a chance to go home and write it off as a business expense. I see what you did there. Can't tell you much about this. I've never been to Australia. That's on the list of things I want to do one day, so hopefully I'll make it out there. But I imagine this event's going to be cool. Don't imagine many people from outside of Australia are going to make it, but I do know that we have a very large following of Warships players in Australia. Some of you that are my followers live in Australia, so enjoy that. February 20th of 2021, USS Yorktown, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. I have done that as well. I highly recommend this one, and the reason why is you don't only have the USS Yorktown, you've also got the Laffey right next to it, which they're actually making a movie out of here soon, and how it endured numerous kamikaze attacks. That's almost as cool as going on the Yorktown, but the Yorktown's an awesome ship as well. Plus, you're also by Charleston, South Carolina, one of my favorite cities in the entire country. If you stay on the Mount Pleasant side, you can definitely get some cheap hotels. Go into Charleston, though. Don't pass up on that if you've never been to the area. I love that city. I love it to death. And you'll find some of the greatest food in America there. I would definitely make this a weekend trip. I would make this a week-long trip if you've never been to Charleston. You will find stuff to do. Or you can do what I did when I went to Charleston and take a cruise out of the port of Charleston. There are cruises that leave through Carnival out there, so look into that as well. Wrapping up this Anchors Aweigh event in March of 2021. There's no date there for some reason on the website. Maybe they just don't have it yet. You've got the USS Hornet, another ship that I've been on. That's in Alameda, California. And this one's a little interesting because it's a bit out of the way. USS Hornet's not in the greatest location. It's in a very industrial area. And like most things in California, if you want to stay somewhere somewhat close, you're probably going to be spending a little bit of money. Actually, you're probably going to want to stay closer to San Francisco, and that is going to run you a bit of money. But if you've never been to San Francisco, I do highly recommend spending some time there because it is an awesome city. Been there a couple times. I've always enjoyed it when I go there. Even for an East Coast guy who's not necessarily a huge fan of California, people are actually pretty nice in San Francisco, so I do recommend that. And that wraps up the upcoming Anchors Aweigh tour. Do try and make it out to them. I'm going to try and make it to a few of them. Definitely going to be at the USS Wisconsin. Like I said, I'm going to try and make it to the Intrepid in the New Jersey. I would love to make it down to the Yorktown in February of 20th, but that is my anniversary, so maybe I can convince my wife to go to South Carolina with me to Charleston for our anniversary with our 2 one-year-olds, because they'll be 1 at that time. That would be an awesome anniversary, actually. We'll see if that flies with the wife. I don't think it is. But definitely going to see you all at the Wisconsin on my home turf in my home state of Virginia. Going to try and see you all up at the USS Intrepid in New York as well. That one's looking pretty possible. I think I can definitely make that one. New Jersey, it depends if I can get someone to come up and assist my wife with these twins because they're only going to be a couple months old. So it's a 3-hour trip for me to get there. 3-hour event. I mean, I'm going to be gone 9 hours. I don't know if that's going to fly with my wife. So we're just going to have to see about that. Anyhow, that's going to wrap it up. That's the Anchors Aweigh tour coming up. And that wraps up this gameplay as well by the Right Honorable Lord Admiral Nelson, who kept his team alive, won the game for his team, sunk 7 ships, almost 8 ships, did 300,000 damage, plus in the Georgia, and that's why this is one of the best rounds in the Georgia I have ever seen. You should be very proud of this round. It was very good. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Take it easy. Again, Thank you to my Patreon supporters, all of which I have two. Simon, thanks for that. Thanks for that God tier pledge. Link to that is in the description of this video. And as always, thank you all for everything you do. I'll catch you all later. Zoop out.